started.
All right, Mr. Meyer. All right, I'd like to welcome everyone to Wilton Community School District, Monday, December 12th, 2016 meeting. The mission of the Wilton Community School District is to provide an education that encourages continual progress, the improvement of one's abilities, the expansion of one's interests and knowledge, and the growth of one's character. Call to order, please, Joy. Roll call.
Linda Duncan.
Here.
Tony Hurd.
Here.
Gary Maurer.
Here.
Rob Metzger.
Here.
Carol Wayne.
Thank you, Joy. We'll have the agenda approval. Are there any additions, changes, or corrections? Mr. Burnett?
There is one under individual action items where I'm striking the Chromebook bids number 6. I'm speaking with Justin this afternoon. He's doing some rebidding there. So please strike number 6 under the individual action items. But that is it.
All right.
Move to approve the agenda with another addition or subtraction.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, to the minutes approval. We will approve the regular meeting of November 14th, 2016.
Move to approve the minutes of November 14th. Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, I see no correspondence, but I see public forum. And first is Chris Wheeler from Point Builders. Is that correct, Mr. Burnett?
Not that they
There you
should
are.
not be included in the
I'm
Charter of
looking.
Champions.
Oh, I won't speak for Tim, but no, I'm not on that list.
Well, Chris and Tim came to discuss with the board where we're at in terms of getting everything solidified with the water damage we had to the auditorium, 4 over the summer, and just kind of where we're at with those steps. So,
Sure.
Chris and Tim, just give us an update. That'd be wonderful.
Good evening, everyone. I know in speaking with Joe, the last couple of conversations we've had pertinent to my email that I had sent out in advance of the meeting tonight, just again wanted to provide an update and make some suggestions that could in fact be potential pathways for resolution in terms of the $12,000 of damages that have been incurred. Again, just to retract here a little bit in terms of some past history, it was so difficult to ascertain exactly who the party was, just due to the fact that when this claim came up and we recognized the issue, it had been months previously before the damage incurred that we could figure that out. So we have done the best that we could through our due diligence, job files, daily logs, those sorts of things, really to wean it down into the 4 parties that we see involved as B&B Masonry, Anderson Commercial Concrete, Eastler Brothers, and Tricon, of which we have 2 parties that, as part of our due diligence, trying to bring, frankly, all parties together to get this resolved, have declined to participate. We also have 1 out of the 4 that is still being currently held with retainage. That's a good thing with regards to the amount. And we do have the other one that has been paid in full, but has already been accepting to the fact that the terms as far as splitting the $12,000 4 separate ways. So everyone owes about $3,000, if you will. We've gone down several paths. Obviously, as you well know, the builder's risk was denied. That's the insurance that you folks were covering per the project. That was unfortunate, but okay, we understand that was a path that we can't go down any further. Again, back to multiple attempts to get all parties together to equally divide and resolve the situation. That's currently where we're at, with 2 people saying no and opportunities to collect on the other 2 for the balance. So moving forward, there is a pathway there with respects to the school holding each individual contract. And there's an indemnification clause within each contract that you hold, that they have signed, that under that indemnification clause, you, in fact, as the school, can notify them and inform them that, in fact, you would be directly filing a claim against their insurers for their balance. We see that as a potential pathway for you folks to get those parties that are not inclined to help to, in fact, help with that. That has been some of the due diligence that we've provided with respects to going through our insurance company. Per Joe's request, I know I've talked to your insurance provider as well. I'm not here to speak on their behalf, but they may be moving forward. Someone that potentially could help with language of that letter, that would be at the school's direction and prerogative. But we do see this as the opportunity to move forward to get this resolved, to where in fact, I'll say maybe putting some pressure on them a little bit might not be a bad thing in terms of getting them to understand that we'd like them to participate with that money to get it resolved. So we're continuing to work on it, anything we can do on our behalf. I know, Joe, like I said, we've been in contact several times, happy to help where we can, but really because those contracts are held directly with you folks to the contractors, there is a defining line for us to say, well, we can't step over that line to inform them. Happy to help, but that would be something that the school would have to do. Does that make sense? And again, happy to help with that language. I've crafted a little bit of that already with respects to the email I sent out on the 23rd. I know White Pigeon has seen that, but again, anything we can do to help, we want to get it resolved too. We know it's an outstanding issue. We're halfway there, I guess is what I would say in terms of the parties, but I think with a little added pressure, we could get this resolved relatively quick. That's certainly our hope.
When you spoke with Nancy, where are they at in terms of looking at our insurance policy and also helping, I don't want to use the term craft, but put together that,
We didn't go down that path. I wanted to respect
Okay,
the boundary of where we're at, but I did say, okay, with what we're getting as information from our insurer, and say, okay, if it were us, Point Builders, what would we do? That was the information I was getting. I in turn gave that to White Pigeon, say, okay, does this make sense? Can this be something as an opportunity and a pathway? She said yes, but that's as far as we went. But if that's something to where you feel there may be a conference call or anything that I can help assist with, happy to do it. We didn't go down that path.
are there other pathways available? To me, it seems to be the,
I think this is the quickest way, in my own opinion. I think this is, I mean, for the cost of a stamp and a letter, there's no attorneys involved, so we don't want to go down that path. I wouldn't suggest that, because frankly, the dollars are fairly minimal. I'm not saying $12,000 isn't a lot of money, but when you're splitting up against 4 parties with respects to what we have going on, I think it's something that I would sure like to find a resolution and pathway for all those parties involved.
right, if we were to involve our attorney, I know that those dollars go, if we were to get our attorneys involved, eating into that $12,000 would.
You're right.
And it doesn't make, honestly, it doesn't make sense. And again, I think this is something to where, should that be the decision of the board and the school district to go down that path, let's get the insurance involved and let's tighten up the language and get the letter sent and see what happens. And we can still do our due diligence as well as follow-up, as we should. Obviously, the project is still open until retainage is paid, so we have skin in the game as well to get it resolved. So that would be a suggestion that I would be making to you and the board for consideration.
You have any questions for Chris or Tim? Number 1, and number 2, are you okay with giving the blessing for Point Builders to work with me and White Pigeon to go down this path to get resolution?
I'm fine with it.
I think so.
I mean, I agree, you don't want to get the lawyers involved if you don't have to.
No.
Very much agree.
Okay,
Thank you
well, I
for
will
all your
work
help.
with Chris, and now that you know specifically where we're at, that'll give us a green light to go, and I'll keep you in the loop.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you
Nice to see
very
everyone.
much.
Merry Christmas.
You too.
You
Merry
bet, thanks for
Christmas.
coming out tonight.
Absolutely.
All right. Now,
This is one of our best attended board meetings of the
I
year
know.
here. It's great to see everybody. So, it's a great opportunity to showcase what our students do here curricularly, but also co-curricularly. And Mr. Crawford will get the groups going, depending on who has practice and who needs to get to the choir concert tonight and whatnot. So,
And with that, we'll start with Mrs. Ryder at the choir concerts tonight at 7 o'clock, at 7 o'clock down in the auditorium. I'll let her go first on this.
Thank you. come on over. Chase Garvin was selected to participate in the 7th and 8th grade Bass Club Opus Honor Choir. Over 3,000 students were nominated by their directors for 720 positions, and he's one of them, obviously, who was selected. When I asked Chase what the most memorable thing was from the Opus Honor Choir, which was held in November, he said walking into that huge auditorium. And if you've never been in C.Y. Stevens Auditorium, I looked it up. There's a main floor that seats 1,600 and 3 balconies, so there's a total seating space of 2,600 people, and the tickets are sold out within hours of opening up to the public. So it's really an awesome opportunity. It's kind of like All-State for junior high, is what it is. It's by recorded auditions that are sent into the state, and that's how they're selected. Chase is very vocal and hard to keep him quiet, all the time.
So he's not gonna sing for us?
Yeah. But he'll be in the concert at 7 o'clock tonight, so come down there.
Very nicely done.
And Chase is the son of Corey and Michelle Garvin. And while I'm up here, the rest of you who are in choir, raise your hands so they know how many they gotta get out of here fairly quickly. Jake, what do you have?
Mr. Dorman's in choir?
The featured soloist of something. Anyway, congratulations.
Good job.
I'd like to go with Mr. Wyatt next for marching band season, I believe.
Well, we'll talk. Good evening. We've had a very successful start to the year. The marching band had a really great fall with the festivals and competitions we did, and we finished up with state marching band where we got our 15th consecutive Superior Division I rating. The band scored in you need a 68th percentile to get a Division I, and we were well over 80%, which I have a feeling was probably the highest of the whole morning for the 2A bands. There were only 3 2A bands that got Division Is, so the band did a wonderful job. It's the longest streak in Southeast Iowa, so the kids just keep kicking it out year after year. They've done a fabulous job. In addition, last spring the concert band got a Division I in state large group, and of the 3 judges, 1 gave them a perfect score and 1 gave them a point away from perfect, and it was a fabulous performance. Both these performances are on Facebook, and they've been seen by over 1,000 people so far, which I think is really cool for Little Wilton, Iowa. So if you want to see those performances, we've got that. We had our concert last week, and that'll be on the Facebook page as well. I have a few students here. If they could stand up, I'm going to let them say a few things. They're kind of be putting under the gun here. They don't all have to talk, but they can give you some feedback about this fall. We've got Tess, who's a senior. We've got Caitlin and Renee, who are juniors. We've got Isaac, who's a sophomore. We've got Nathaniel, who's also a senior. And we've got Lily, who is the token freshie. So, yeah, if you guys want to give comments about this, come on up.
Hi, y'all. I'm Nathaniel DeVore. I've been in band with Mr. Wyatt for all 4 years. It's pretty cool for marching. Sometimes it gets a bit frustrating because we have these like 1 practices every week, while other schools like Muscatine will have a practice every single morning. And yeah, so we get like an entire week's worth of practice in 2 hours every single day. Sometimes those get a bit stressed, but it's still a lot of fun. So, bye.
Thank you. Very good.
That's an easy one.
You're like,
Nathaniel also holds a record. Nathaniel, you want to tell him what that record is?
Oh, I
pizza
also
record.
I hold the pizza eating contest record that we have every single year for marching band. We always celebrate at the end of the season with the pizza eating record competition. And last year I broke the record with 22 slices of pizza. Which is like almost 2 large pizzas by myself.
Yeah, 24 slices for 2 large pizzas.
Yeah, don't let him buy the food as he leaves.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Tess,
Okay. I've also been in band all 4 years, and it's been Probably my favorite part of band in general is marching band. Even though I may not feel the same in marching band, I definitely feel that way after it's over. And we had a great show this year, Les Mis, which we'd like to think is more complicated than just shows that are popular songs, because Les Mis is kind of like a story that we have to work on, and it's got high parts and low parts, and it's not just, you know, a rock beat the entire time. And we had a lot of fun, and I'm going to miss it. Just saying.
Are there any questions from the board for the band? Individuals? All right, there we go, thank you. I know Mr. Myers real close here, and a lot of the girls put their hands up for being in choir, so I'll let him go next. I'm not saying. You can. Dorman wanted to go.
So girls golfers, I think most of them are kind of over in this area here. We just finished our second year. This is my, I'll retract that. It's my second year. Girls golf's been going on longer than that. With that, and one of the things that always impresses me the most, not just about girls golfers, but just about the other kids that stand in this room, is you'll see so many hands go up in different sports, and how we need these kids to be involved in a lot of activities. And there's a huge emphasis by college coaches that look at athletes that want multi-sport athletes. They want kids that are well-rounded, not just that just specialize in sports. With that, I have a blast every time we go anywhere with these girls. They're a fun group to go and do different things with golf course, and their coaches are usually pretty complimentary of the kids, and the kids start to make good friendships. Probably very unique to maybe some of the other sports is that between golf shots, you get a lot of time to talk. So the kids get to know each other well, and a lot of them become Instagram buddies and Facebook friends and stuff like that, that, you know, it kind of carries on through that. The girls had 3 goals going into this season. They wanted to have more wins than losses. They wanted to place in the top 5 or higher at conference, and they wanted to advance out of the first round of tournament play. They wanted to do that, and we successfully did all of those. We had 37 wins this year to 18 losses. We were 4th place at conference this year, and we actually were, used to be called regionals, it's just called first round now for the girls, but we were actually the regional champions. We got sent all the way up to Jessup. It was a 2-hour trek up there, and then we got the privilege of driving even farther to go to Dyke for the next round. That didn't work out quite as well as we wanted to. With that, Alyssa Anderson actually was the meet medalist at the first round in Jessup. So 98, I think was 96. 98 was something like that. And it was actually all conference as well this year. I think we'd have to go back a few years to find an all conference performer. But girls, this would be the chance for you to add anything. Nobody's going
So, come on, let's-
that doesn't become a theme for the night for that. To me, that as I look forward to that, 60% of our score comes back. So the girls that counted their scores last year, 60% of them are back. So I expect good things out of our team next year. We guys should probably be just as good, if not better, this coming season. So, rah-rah.
Good job.
Mr. Rushing's here for FFA.
Well, I'm a young guy and got a few members here and probably a few mixed in the crowd. It's been fast and furious for me. It has. I've had to wear a lot of hats, and whether it being janitor to construction to everything under the sun, and these guys seem to be willing, and there's an army there. It's been fun so far, and kind of a few things that I try to do is I try to get kids involved in FFA activities, because that goes into career development. You guys started out with parliamentary procedure. That's kind of what we're trying to go over right now, a little bit of that. And my main goal is to get 30 members involved every year, and we're at 8 right now. We still have the rest of the year, or next year, part of that school year to go. And between livestock judging here in the fall, state fair, and then soils, we've actually had quite a start. I'm gonna let these guys kind of talk a little bit of some of the accolades that we've had.
So at State Fair, we got the Supreme Chapter, and we got 3rd overall. And our performance beef got 5th overall. And dairy got 3rd overall. And horticulture, got 7th overall. And breeding swine was 1st overall. Market swine was 2nd overall. Meat goats were 2nd overall. And poultry was 8th overall.
For soil, we got 8th in districts. And then livestock evaluation, 7th overall in state, 6th in reasons, and 14th at the National Barrel Show.
Good job.
It's been a lot of fun and kind of wild ride so far.
At least Kyle's on it.
Yeah. Good job.
Any questions for them, or?
Kyle's one of our members of our trap team that's starting to, get geared up. Is anyone else in here, Kyle, that's gonna participate with the trap team that you know of? No? So, that'll be fun too.
All right, good. All right, thank you
Thank
guys.
you.
Yes. Mrs. Brenner for volleyball.
Thanks, Tim.
I'm gonna let these ladies introduce themselves and I'll make a few comments about our season,
My name is Reagan Scarborough, and I'm a senior, and I was a captain this past year. I got third team all-conference, and then I was on the first team all-area for the Muscatine Journal.
Okay. I'm Anna Putman. I'm a sophomore. I was a captain. I got elite team all conference. I was player of the year for Muscatine Journal, and I was first team all area Muscatine Journal.
I'm Callie Poor. I'm a junior, and I got first team all conference and third team all area Muscatine Journal.
I'm Amanda Fowler, and I was captain.
I'm Callie Mulder. I'm a junior, and I got all conference and third team all area Muscatine Journal.
so you can see we had a lot of accomplishments throughout the season that were recognized by these awards. So I'm very proud of the team. And I also want to acknowledge that overall, they set a lot of records as we went through our season. Overall, 32-6, so second winningest record in school history. So very proud of that. In the season, we jumped out to a 14-0 start before we suffered our first loss. Again, that was a new record. We won 4 of the 5 tournaments that we entered. And then we were first in our division in the South Conference. We were second in the 13-team conference tournament. And then our loss came in the semifinals of regionals. A tough loss, but again, a lot of success throughout the season. I couldn't be prouder of this team. And one of the things that we talk about, the word that we chose to embrace this season was the word compete. And match in, match out, point in, point out. But beyond that, what they brought to our team in this season, and they will tell you about that, and I feel very proud of that, is just team chemistry. We truly stopped the practice one night, we were talking, we just like each other. And I think that's a really neat accomplishment as well, because you're around each other all the time, you're in school together, classes together, we practice hard together, and they competed and they liked each other. And I am very proud of that as well. We started with open gym, as you guys know. We do that all summer long, as do all the programs. We did weight room. But beyond that, we also went to a team camp in Waverly, which I think was a great start for our season. We're going to do that again next fall. And then, of course, we did practice, several two-days practice, and they got off to a great start. Tough conference. And what I know that they may not understand or appreciate is that we lose these 2 seniors. And they've been a part of our program for a long time and have contributed a lot. And when you think about what we have coming back, I get that, and I'm excited about that, but we still lose these 2 seniors with all that leadership. And I just wanted to point that out, and again, thank you for all your efforts throughout your seasons. We talked about losing 2 seniors. Our conference was tough. Several teams were rated, and unfortunately, they don't graduate many people either. So it's going to be tough again next year, but we're excited. So congratulations to these ladies, and thank you.
Outstanding year.
All right, Mr. Dorman is up next.
These are members of last year's varsity boys golf team. Jake Kratzke, Jared Townsend, Brayton Wade, Noel Leeton, Brock Hartley. We're missing Tyler Hart, and he went home sick today, so he's not here. Last year, we're fourth in conference. Jake ended up being first team all-conference last year. Inside the conference, we have everybody back. A lot of the teams are losing guys, so we're sitting pretty good there. Sectionals, we went down to Mid-Prairie. We won it. 2 years in a row. Jake was third there, and Nolan was fourth, which advances the districts. And the districts, we placed fourth in probably what was the toughest district in the state. In the area, as far as those schools there too, we have everybody back, and a lot of those guys are losing who they have, so things are looking good right now. But we haven't taken a swing yet this year. So, that's it. Thank you.
Good, thank you.
I was going to go with Coach Cook and the cross-country teams.
All right.
Come on up,
guys. First of all, our girls team this year finished top 3 teams at 5 meets this season with 2 team championships, L&M and Columbus Junction. It was the 3rd year in a row that the girls had won the Columbus Junction meet, and it's the 8th time in the past 10 years that they have won that meet. So we really like going there. They finished 6th at our conference meet, which, if you know anything about our cross-country conference, it's, I mean, pretty much everybody there is one of the elite teams in the state, so that was very impressive. And it was, what I am most proud of, it was the 11th year in a row that the girls had scored a full team in every single meet. So they've gone, I think prior to that, I don't know how many times they had scored a full girls team, but now it's been 11 years in a row that they have scored a full girls team in every single meet. They finished 4th at the state qualifying meet, and top 3 make it, so they were just out of the money on that. The boys team won the team championship at L&M. They improved over last year at every single meet and were able to get all of their varsity runners under 20 minutes, which is the first time in a long time that we've been able to do that. The boys do not graduate anybody, and we got some incoming freshmen that I think are really going to help us, so we're really looking forward to next year's boys cross-country season. Emmy Drake this year, she had 3 top 10 finishes. She was honorable all-conference and finished 17th at the state qualifying meet, and 15 go. So she was also borderline. She played a big part in our girls team championships and was a consistent number 2 or number 3 runner for us all year. Next, Buddy Darding, he had 4 top 10 finishes this year. He was overall individual champion at Columbus Junction, which was by far one of the most exciting finishes I have ever seen. I've been around the sport a long time, and that was one of the most impressive finishes to a race I've ever seen. Buddy was about 50 yards behind the guy with 200 yards to go. And that catch, I thought, man, if you really go, you're going to catch this guy. He not only caught up to him, but he went past him like he was standing still. It was unbelievable. He was all conference, finishing 17th. He was 6th at the state qualifying meet, where he edged out Noah. He finished 26th at the state meet with a 17:28, and he was the 3rd freshman to cross the finish line up there at the state meet.
Very good.
Noah Brown, he probably had the most productive off-season of anybody in a really long time. He had 6 top 10 finishes. He was overall champion at L&M and English Valley. He was elite all-conference, finishing 9th. He was 6th at the state qualifying meet, just getting nipped right at the finish by one of his own. And he finished 26th at the state meet with the time of 17:31. And looking back, Buddy and Noah, their times, it's right there with what all of our really good runners that have come out of this program, their times are right there with those guys, and they still got a year to go. So we're looking forward to next year with those guys. And now, Kaylee Ford. Kaylee has pretty much been the face of our program the past 3 years. She had 11 top 10 finishes this year. She was overall individual champion at L&M, English Valley, Mount Pleasant, Columbus Junction, and was runner-up at North Cedar. She was elite all-conference. She was 7th as a state qualifier at the state qualifying meet. She finished 39th at the state meet with a 21:08. And did I mention that she was homecoming queen? Less than 12 hours after being crowned homecoming queen, I put this up on Facebook, and I think the Advocate had shared it. But she was crowned Wednesday night, homecoming queen. We have swimming every Thursday morning. She showed up for that. She wore her little tail. Her head never gets wet in the water. But then she had missed the previous day's practice for homecoming activities, and she wanted to run. She wanted to get that workout in. So she went to the pool, and then we went out to Westview and ran a workout. So less than 12 hours after being crowned homecoming queen, she was out there with her second practice of the day. Kaylee is certainly going to be missed, not only for her athleticism, but by the way she approached her teammates, coaches, and the sport of cross country. I look forward to seeing her accomplishments in the future, and I know that she will be taking a little bit of Wilton cross country wherever she goes. So, Katie, you want to say something nice about that? Anybody? Good for them.
Like your nose. Thank you, guys. I know Mr. Hetzler's here. He's been waiting quite a while too, and coming in on a free night. I appreciate that for football.
Our football team had a good season this year. We came in kind of unexpected. A lot of guys didn't know around the state how good we were going to be, and we ended up putting a real good team together. Our team finished 7-2. We were 7-2 overall. On offense, we averaged 39 points. On defense, we only allowed 15. The guys that I have up here tonight were our first team selections. Jerome Mays was our sophomore quarterback. He was a district MVP. Evan Reifert was a senior wide receiver, named district MVP as well. And then Caleb Timpson was a kicker, was named district MVP as well. Bryce Ovison was first team all-district linebacker. Trey Brisker was first team all-district linebacker. And Jared Townsend was first team district or all-district offensive lineman. Jared also got an award for the INA third team all-state as a defensive end. So all in all, the awards are nice and everything was good there. But really happy with the season we had. Really shocked some people in the way that we went out and played. Our two losses were to teams that both won 8 or more games with Regina, and if anybody follows football, knows Regina, what kind of program they have, and then Sigourney's also a very tough program that we lost by a touchdown, and we missed the playoffs by 7 points. So, but all in all, very happy with how the season went. We lose 8 tough seniors next year, but still very, very excited for the years to come. So that's Wilton football.
You guys have any questions or anything? No. All right.
Great,
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Coach.
Courtney Proctor, please. Coach Proctor with softball.
Softball seems like so long ago because we're thinking about last year. So I'm calling back my 2 captains for this year. They're going to kind of talk about a few highlights of the season and what we expect for this year as softball season. Fantastic.
All right, hi, I'm Fallon Grunder. I was the captain this year, and I was honorable mention All-State. We had a really tough conference. We have a lot of rated teams, and I think we fared really well throughout this year, and we had a really good season, and I'm pretty excited to see what this year brings. So.
Hi, I'm Amanda Fowler. I'm going to be a captain this year, and I was also honorable mention All-State. Last season, we led the state in home runs, and we're really excited for next season.
And I can just kind of wrap it up. Like the girl said, our conference is one of the hardest in the state, and I'll argue that with any coach that would think it any different. We've had state champions, runner-up, numerous ranked teams. these girls put in a lot of time, and like what Jamie said, we need our girls to be multi-sport athletes. We need them to, play all the sports, and softball it's hard because it's in the summer and everything else is going on, but these girls really dedicate their time for softball. We start pitching in January, we start hitting in February, we start practice in May. We put in a lot of time, and I'm excited to see what this season brings. These girls have a great work ethic. I ask them to run, they don't ask, they don't question. We're in the weight room 4 days a week. We're trying to make ourselves the best team possible, so I'm excited to see what next year brings.
Great, you bet.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Bourne, you got a lot of guys here.
They might smell a little bit, I apologize.
Do you have a pizza eating contest, Mr. Bourne?
No, we do not. Not quite part of our regimen. First and foremost, I guess, a little recap kind of last year and some good highlights of last year and what we're looking forward to going into this year. Last year we ended up 15-7 as a team for duels. Made it to regional duels, which is basically one dual meet away from the state dual tournament. And fell a little bit short there, but we were sectional champions, which allowed us to go to regional duels. We got third in conference duels, third at the conference duels, or at the conference individual tournament. Last year we also had 337 wins versus 231 losses, which 175 of our wins were by fall or pin. And we had 8 district qualifiers. 6 of them are up here with us today, which we returned 7 of our district qualifiers, and 3 of those qualifiers were state qualifiers with Reed Johnson was a district qualifier at 120, Jerome Mays 132, Eli Faison, well, he was up at 70, up at 60, Cam Reddick, yeah, you were up 60. You were at 70, you were at 60, Cam Reddick was at 60. Brisker was at 45, and then Oveson was up at 82 last year, and we only, out of those district qualifiers and state qualifiers, we only lost one, which was Tanner Greenwald, and which he's, we'll miss him in the lineup. At the same time, we've filled in pretty nicely. This is the first year, and since I've took over the program, that we've been able to have a full lineup for duels as well, and we've increased our numbers. We got 22 kids in the room. So good things are happening as we started off this season, aside from all these guys coming back and getting in the lineup and having some great leadership and showing some of our younger kids what's expected in the room. We won the Wapello tournament, our first tournament of the year, which should have been won a little more decisively, only because it was also our first matches of the year, where we usually have 2 dual meets prior to our first tournament, and this year they both got pushed back. And that changed things up a little bit. Last weekend we got 3rd at the Grinnell dual tournament, and it's helped us focus on a few things that we need to correct as the season goes on. But no, we're off to a pretty good start. We've got some kids still working themselves in the lineup and where they belong and maintaining weight, which has been a struggle for a few. But I got 3 of our captains here, Jerome, Trey, and Bryce. I'll let the other 2 say something. He got clocked in the jaw tonight, and fortunately can't open his mouth a whole lot, so it's not a terrible thing.
Darn.
As long as he's able to wrestle tomorrow night, we're good to go.
He doesn't have to talk.
But I'll let them talk a little bit about the upcoming season, or the season that we just started, and what to expect out of us as the year progresses. Either one of you.
We're off to a pretty good start with only having 2 competitions?
Yeah, 3. Yeah. Wow, we had the duel last week.
Okay, so 3, and now we're coming up with making up that one from the first week we should have had. So with having just 2 to 3 competitions, I think we're off to a decent start, and it helps figure out where we're at and what we need to work on. So I think with this team, we'll be doing just fine down the long run, and we'll end up where we want to end up at the end of the season. That's all I got.
That's good.
I'll take over. I'm Trey. Me and Bryson Drummer are captains this year, and this year it's kind of started out slow, missing out that first duel, and just going into Wapello was a bit slow, and our guys were showing it. And it's not a bad thing when you look at it from a perspective, because they're learning that you have to work hard every day in the wrestling room, and that's a big part of it. And not being able to go in there and just jack around for an hour or two, I mean, it's tough. I mean, that's what you expect when you sign up for wrestling. So looking at it like that, pushing our guys this year, you should see a lot of big things if we continue to do that. So that's what I'm wrestling for you.
Tomorrow night we are home for our first home duel against Iowa City Regina and Mid Prairie. Thursday we're over at Durant with Durant and West Liberty, and that should be some good duels coming up. And then Saturday's our annual home JV tournament as well, with I think this year we're at 26 or 28 teams coming to that, and around 300 JV kids here wrestling too. And so a lot of things coming up before break, and then we'll be back at it the second half of the season coming out of break. That's it.
All right.
Good stuff.
All right.
Junior girls basketball. Baseball, Coach Serrata, come on up, please.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Were they here? Are you here?
Alright, baseball team last year ended up 29-4, 18-0 in conference, which, as Courtney said, the conference is very tough. We had 5 teams ranked in the top 10 all season long. We reached number 1 in a couple weeks. But there was a very good group of guys that worked hard, and just had a very successful season. Small state guys, Javin Drake was a super team all-state pitcher, as well as captain of the INA and the coaches 2A baseball team. Evan Reifer was a first team all-state pitcher, as well as a elite team first team all-conference and a first team all-district player. Evan ranks, I think, second in the state with 3 no-hitters in 1 season. So that's he just got put up on the state website the other day. So he's one of the top pitchers for no-hitters in the season. John Hennessy was a second team all-state catcher, as well as an elite team all-conference guy and a first team all-district player. Caleb Timpson was a second team all-state outfielder and a lead team and first team all-district player. Jared Townsend, he was a first team all-district and a elite team all-conference outfielder, utility player. We have Zach Randolph, who was an elite team all-conference and first team all-district player. So we've had a lot of guys that were very successful. We have a great nucleus of guys coming back. We got Jake Lanker. Jake Lanker was a first team elite team outfielder and a first team all-district outfielder. So we've had these 4 guys, along with several others that are back that have played a lot of baseball, and hopefully will lead us back to where we need to get to this season. Evan signed with NIAC to play baseball, so he's done it early in the year, so his pressure's off. He can just go out and perform, and then these other guys will follow suit and great season goes. Now there's nobody left, you guys can eat these cookies.
Hey, I have a question. Baseball in St. Louis getting rained out. Is there a return trip planned?
It's possible. We've contacted the guy, and he's going to let us know, but he hasn't got back. I let Josh Monticello take care of it this time, because I was trading guys, I would trade him. So the guy that's in charge of that trip, so.
Okay.
The highlight of that trip was watching Coach Hedrick's bag get sniffed out by bomb-sniffing dogs. They wanted to train a dog, and so they had one that was his first time, and they put CF4 in Coach Hedrick's duffel bag, and the dog jumped around side to side, sat next to his bag. Showed them that was where the bomb was. No barking or anything, just sat. That's as far as we got in the state. So hopefully, they're checking to see if we get to go back, and we would not have to substitute, just keep the guidance.
Okay.
Well, that'd be great.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks, guys.
Hey, thank you. Good job.
You bet.
One, Jared, one. One, Jared. Just one. I know.
He led the team in steals.
All righty.
Well, that's a pretty impressive group of young people.
That is always the best.
Well, it's not only neat to see them, but I think it's a great experience to be in front of the board too, and just tell a little bit about their seasons and whatnot, so. Pretty cool.
All righty. No recognitions.
Other than the
Parade of
Champions.
Champions,
Correct.
there's none other.
Oh, just teasing.
We're going on to business financial functions. Stacy.
First, the taxation fund reports, which is number 5. Are there any questions or comments on any of the taxation funds?
Nope.
Okay, hearing none, we'll move to number 6, which is the instructional support levy report ending November 30th. The receipts at the top, the budget there in the middle of the first page with what we have spent year to date, the bottom of the first page, and then the balance at the top of the second. Any questions or comments on instructional support levy? Next report is self-insurance. Lower left-hand corner shows you the medical, dental, and vision breakdown. And receipts and expenditures at the top. Any questions or comments? Next is latchkey. The usage at the top, comparing November to October, and you can see that it is down, but a big part of it is the casual usage. And then there are before and after, which is less. And it was a 5-week pay period for all the hourly employees of Latchkey, so the expenditures are higher than the revenues. Any questions or comments? Next is the Latchkey program period vendor report for the month of November, and how the money was spent in addition to payroll. Any questions? Next is the nutrition fund report. The first page is the usage for the lunch program and the breakfast program. And you have the usage for the month and then year-to-date from the first day of school. The second page, the financials through November 30th. And the investment breakdown balance at the bottom. Any questions or comments? Next report is the period vendor report for the month of November for the nutrition fund. Again, how the money was spent in addition to payroll. Any questions or comments?
We have this sideline video monitor. We have.
Sorry.
Next report, activity fund. It's on the first page. You have the music total on the far right-hand column, which does include the trips, and then the athletic total, which spans that. The negatives we've talked about before with the speech drama and musical and elementary vocal. And any questions about any of those? And then down with the robotics club, talked about that prior also. And the winter canteen just starting up. And then you're still gonna have that $25 negative in spring canteen until spring canteen begins. But the activity fund continues to have an extremely healthy balance of in excess of $270,000. Top of the next page is the FFA Enterprise at the Hog Farm Sheep and Greenhouse. And then our flex spending plan that we keep that in our local bank. And then the agency fund, which is money that is accounted for by the school district but not technically owned by the school district. Any questions or comments on any of those funds? The following report is the period vendor report for all of those funds. Questions or comments on the period vendor report? Next would be the co-curricular November, December pay period. And the bus use under other is reimbursable, including mileage. Driver breakdown at the very bottom of the report. Any questions or comments on the co-curricular driving report for November, December payroll? And next we have the extra payroll report. Anything submitted for payment which is not on a contract or previously approved by the board is listed here. Any questions or comments on extra payroll for the December payroll? And then the last report, the taxation fund bills, which we have several pages of general fund bills, spanning page 1 through 6. The total for the taxation fund bills is at towards the bottom of the general fund. Taxation fund is on the bottom of page 6, and then we have some bills presented for payment from the construction fund. And actually, most of those are local purchases. The only contractor payment request this time is Bach instead. And then from the SAVE, or local options and sales service tax, we have our Fund 33, which is our general infrastructure equipment fund, and then 34, which pertains solely to the demolition of the old elementary building. And since we had a huge city bill for the use of water for the asbestos removal and having to maintain electricity there, that came out of the demolition costs. The more water you use, the more sewer fees you pay also. And then we have our January 1st payment for revenue bonds for the new elementary. Any questions on any of the bills presented for payment?
move we approve the bills.
Second?
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you, Stacy. Now we're going to Mrs. Austin.
Holiday giving, wearing jeans in the elementary is a big deal. So we were able to give them some jean days and we donated $600 to the food pantry. Our concerts, we had our concerts last week, the band concert and the 5th and 6th grade choir concert, and it's always heartwarming to see everything come together when it's showtime. And both Mr. Miller and Mrs. TW did a great job getting the kids ready. Professional development, you can see we rotate our Wednesday mornings of what we do. Different people are doing different things all the time, and they're really growing, and I'm continually impressed by the work the elementary teachers are doing, implementing our new things, as well as trying to get better at the things we're already doing. The group listed on that 1, 2, 3, 4th paragraph are going this week, 3 different days, so we have people going out of the building all 3 days. And again, we're kind of rotating that through to a 95% training that's in Ainsworth, so it's close. So we're continuing to kind of sharpen our saw on that. Leader in Me is what I devoted that whole last bottom part to. We are in the, I guess they'd call it, investigating stage. It's kind of a culture thing of how you talk to kids and how you talk to each other and building that leadership in kids. And it's based on Stephen Covey's book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And at the very bottom, I kind of broke down what they tell us. Each habit means kind of to kids and how you work with kids through that. So we'll see where we are. And I did want to give you that introduction because we're going to potentially be visiting some schools and doing a little more work to see if it is something that we want to pursue. Any questions for me?
Thank you, Mrs. Austin. We will go on to Mr. Crawford.
Just a couple highlights since we've done the Parade of Champions. It's just to keep in mind that Student Council is doing a lot of great activities. If you look around our building, not all buildings are decorated like ours, and it always tops off with the ugly sweater contest on the last day that we have, so that's always fun. Cookies in the Commons is this Saturday, and that's where parents bake very unusual cookies, et cetera, et cetera. You pay by the pound. It goes towards prom. So I think those are some neat things that are coming up here in the next week or two with the concert tonight. And you can read kind of the rest of that too. Otherwise, junior highs wrestling and girls basketball is going to end up this week, and then boys start the next week. Jam to Gym is on a Saturday instead of a Friday because we actually have no Friday home games in January. So kind of a weird scheduling quirk to that. So otherwise, again, just the highlights there because we've taken a lot of time. If there's questions,
Great.
I'll take questions too. But I don't want to.
No. If nothing else, we'll move on. Thank
Sound
you,
good?
Mr. Crawford.
Yep.
All right, we'll do the action items. We'll do consent agenda number 1.
Yep, 2 under this category. Number 1, Nathan Kroger, who's been an elementary associate for a couple years, is moving on to student teach the spring semester. So we wish him the best there. And Mrs. Austin, we're having that advertised.
Interviews this week.
So,
Great.
job descriptions, board secretary, had Joy look that over. Everything looks good with that, so I really have nothing to add other than what's on here.
Okay.
But is there anything under consent agenda number 1 you'd like to ask on?
Move we approve consent agenda number 1.
Second?
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, consent agenda number 2.
That's just a review of the district policies. I have nothing to, I guess, suggest or add. Most of them, just about board member, everything from liability, security protection, president, vice president, etc. don't know if there's any questions the board may have on any of those individual policies.
Move to approve consent agenda number 2.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
The next 5 are individual items. The first one is the 2017-18 at-risk dropout prevention budget. Worked with Stacy and Mr. Meyer on that last week. There's a narrative that goes along with that too. Anymore with state reporting, there's a lot more, I don't want to say follow-up, a lot more details on how money is spent, showing results, etc., which is fine, but it's a lot more, not complicated, but involved than it used to be. Stacy, do you have any comments about the budget piece?
No. I mean, we're budgeting for next year already, so there's a lot of assumptions there that we have to put together. And it used to not be so detailed either. That has gotten way more detailed than it used to be.
The at-risk budget really supplements a lot of our programming from our summer school, a lot of the pyramid work, in terms of helping pay for staff salaries and whatnot. So it's really been a positive as far as helping our students in need with it. So I'm grateful we have it. Any questions on the at-risk budget? Like Stacy said, it's difficult because we're planning next year's budget and you have to put in projected salaries, projected costs, and we don't know what the increase is going to be, or if someone were to retire or move on, what that gap would be. So, but try to get as close as we can.
I'll make a motion we approve the 2017-18 at-risk dropout prevention budget.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
All right, number 2 is our employee retirement incentive, ending for the fiscal year 2017. It's your retirement incentive that we discussed at our work session. We would put this out to all eligible staff members with 15 years of consecutive experience, meeting the age requirements, and percentages outlined in terms of what that incentive looks like as presented. I like the February 1st deadline. And Joy usually gets that letter out. We'll probably get that out this week if the board approves it, so they'd have Christmas break in the month of January. I think this has been a valuable tool for many reasons. Number 1, it's an incentive to retire. Number 2, the timing piece, I think, is a really good timeline that we have, because that allows us to get a jump on potential teachers. And I know if we can get ahead of the game a little bit, especially some of the hard-to-fill positions, it's nice to have that jump start. I know in years past, because of this, we've gotten some people that I think might have possibly gotten the job in a bigger school or whatnot without having the early retirement incentive. So it'd be my recommendation to utilize the retirement incentive that we've done in the past again this year, as presented.
Move to approve the employee retirement incentive.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Yeah, we have one early graduation request. It was a late notice for Vanessa Darting, as presented by Mr. Patterson. So she would be done January 12th. If you'd like her to continue the second semester, you certainly can. I'm sure she'd appreciate it if you approved it, but
We don't have to, right?
completely up to the board.
I think.
I told her I would.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the early graduation request of Vanessa Darty.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
She will appreciate that.
Oh, good.
Number 4 is our instructional support levy resolution of intent. I believe this takes a roll call vote. And you can see as presented there, again, we talked about this last month, the areas that we will utilize our instructional support levy in. And again, it'll be for 5 years. And I guess I'll answer any questions. I know we've talked about this before, but are there any questions about the instructional support levy and what it entails, and any nuts and bolts questions? A lot of clicks, Linda.
Well, I'm trying to get back to it.
It's in the beginning.
I know, that's what I mean.
But you can see the
bullets.
bullets at the bottom there from all of our supplies. We do spring requisitions, staff development. You know, it's another area too. Not to pat the board on the back or working with Stacy and patting her on the back, but one of the things from a budgetary standpoint, you know, we talk about the at-risk, talk about the instructional support levy. We do everything we can to try to maintain our general fund. And these funds are specifically for what's outlined here. Technology, that's the reason our technology is, I think, above other schools, because we budget specifically for that through our different levies. If you have to rely on your general fund balance, we know that that's going to be in flux for 2 reasons. Number one, based upon the percentage of, I call it still allowable growth, not state supplemental aid.
Right.
And, you know, which is involved in negotiations, and so you don't know what that number is going to be, which is affected by enrollment too. Not that some of these aren't, but this is a stable funding stream, much like the at-risk and dropout is. So that's allowed us to keep our peripherals, which is our educational tools. So both of these, again, are very, very good pieces to have. And I think the systems that set up on where they go with this funding are spot on. So it's my recommendation to approve the instructional support levy for 5 years as outlined.
Move to approve the instructional support levy resolution of intent.
Second.
Linda Duncan.
Yes.
Tony Gurley.
Yes.
Gary Mauer.
Yes.
Rob Metzger.
Yes.
Alrighty.
And last but not least, our 2017-18 school calendar. It kind of blows me away when you think we're talking about graduating class of 2018, but
And is this any different really from this year's?
it really mirrors
Okay.
the calendar we've had the last 2 years, to be honest. So it's just a change in the
Tweaking it.
dates.
Right, but as
Yep.
far as everything, the breaks and the.
Yeah, really, the
Some makeup
only
days.
date or holiday that floats is Easter. You know, and
Okay.
depending on when Easter
Easter,
falls, some
you're
years
right.
we have Good Friday off if it doesn't
Correct.
coincide with spring break, and with this calendar it does.
So is Easter
So that's
early?
the Easter's early
It's in
next year, end of March.
Okay.
So
Because yeah, sometimes it's
yeah, that's the only
thing that really.
thing that's kind of been in flux. But
Okay.
again, we just try to work around it if we can.
Cool.
You see the number of hours that we meet. I think that's worked out really slick.
Mhm.
You know, if we have 2-hour late starts and whatnot, and you know, if we ever are in a pinch and we have a severe winter where we have a lot of snow days to make up,
Mhm.
you know, we can see where we're at too at the end of the school year if we were to, we'd meet the number of hours.
Because we have one snow makeup day.
Yeah, there's one
That's
snow
in
day,
February.
makeup day that we always kind of roll into that
Right.
4-day, we make it a 4-day weekend
for
over President's Day.
Right. Okay.
But
Cool.
it's nice to have that cushion. I think the hours
Mhm.
aspect's gone really well. I mean, I like it. As far as when we have snow days and whatnot, it just works out slick.
Good. All right.
Move to approve the 2017-2018 school calendar.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Letter A is our maintenance committee. As far as committee items, I thought we had a really good maintenance committee meeting a little over a week ago. We met for 2 hours, and don't know, guys, I can't believe how much we discussed in that 2 hours. You know, with the building project getting wrapped up, you'd think, well, there's not a lot of maintenance areas to improve, but there always is.
Yeah.
And we've got all kinds of ideas, from the lighting on the new building. You know, there's no lights out in front of the building. I was talking to Justin today, even behind the building. You know, we've got a really good camera system, but we need to have some lighting out there, and I do think it makes sense.
Yeah.
If someone were to vandalize the school on the backside and having no lights, and we can't see where they are because of the camera, that's, I'm not saying pointless, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. So everything from lighting to the big project that we're tackling, and Joe's getting bids right now and working with Mr. Crawford, is repurposing the area downstairs, which used to be the old cafeteria, putting a couple locker rooms in there, and we hope to have that done sometime second semester. The good news is you can do a lot of that, you know, during the winter. It's not an issue as far as weather or whatnot. Still working on some tweaks as far as the HVAC system with the new building. Train has been out here and trying to get everything regulated. Still looking at the system above the cafeteria. You know, we're on them on that too, because you know, we knew last spring that we were having issues, but then when it warmed up, so that's why we got the extended warranty on that as well. What else do we talk about? All kinds of different things.
Epoxy floors again.
Yep.
Finishing up the epoxy floors.
Yeah.
Yep, come up with our list to keep that rotation on the epoxy.
We would like to tackle them.
That's right.
Yeah.
Some lighting, I mean, sensors in the lights. I think, then we talked about going down the hallway and
Yep,
stuff like that.
adding more light sensors. Still doing some odds and ends projects from out in front of the football stadium, the bleachers, making that a ramp on the north side versus the step. If you know where I'm talking about, but we call it the handicap deck in front of the handicap deck. It's a step, but it's a trip hazard.
It's a tripper is what it is.
Not a
It's about
step.
that big a
It's
step.
it's a stubber.
Yeah.
Stub your foot. Okay.
Exactly.
Cement out in front of the grade school or the elementary school.
Yep.
Replace the rocks with cement.
Yeah, the play area for the pre-Ks.
Gives them something to do.
Yes,
There's
it
a little
does.
rock.
There is.
Yes, it does.
So it'll be a very active summer again, which is good. We also, you know, we talked about our air quality. We'll start investigating, you know, a little bit of, I don't know, climate control. Maybe that's the best word, whether it's humidity related or whatnot, seeing what we can do on the second floor of the high school. So, really good meeting. That's
Good.
pool board. Is there anything to update?
We meet Wednesday, so.
Good.
Yeah.
Everything seems to be going okay?
Yep.
Legislatively, obviously some big developments here recently with Governor Branstad heading to China. So with Lieutenant Governor Kim Reynolds moving up, it will be interesting to see what her beliefs are and priorities are with education, with water quality, with all kinds of different areas. And so there's a little bit of an unknown there.
Well, they're also talking the revenue's gonna be down quite a bit too, so it's gonna make a big difference.
Well, probably more than anybody with the farm, you know, prices the way they've been, that's a big chunk of what's coming in. So we're kind of a recession in that area. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do there. And it'll also, as we know, having the control of the three chambers with the Republicans, if there was ever a year to get things through, this would be the year too. So for better or for worse, might be a historic session. I don't know. Hard to tell. Nothing really goodwill-wise, miscellaneous. We do not have a work session planned for December. I do want to mention on the building project, I know we really didn't talk about it with Chris and Tim here, but you know the building is completely down, and now it's just getting everything hauled away. I got an email from Jerry Denning today, just kind of dotting the I's and crossing the T's as far as the contract, you know, and hand that over to the city.
That's January?
Well, as soon as that's done.
Okay, so we're not,
there's no,
really.
what I want to say, have to have it to them by a certain point, but as soon as that is wrapped up, though, I'll keep you in the loop on that too. With that. What else? But otherwise, coming down the home stretch, we do have some retaining still out there, and
Well, that was the other thing we talked about, was the dirt, the baseball parking.
yeah, we still want to look for
Yeah.
improvements with the parking on the east side of the baseball complex. Since that's a big parking area, just making sure it's safe. We had a lot of ruts out there this year. We haven't had the sod really, the grass really hasn't come in thick, and the runoff, and that pile out there on the east side of the baseball field too is gonna be our fill for the elementary, but whatever's left, even, I don't know, get Bruce Ship out here and see if we can do some grading to make that a little more conducive to parking. So, yeah. No, a lot of good things. All kinds of little concrete projects, we'll always be looking at different things on that.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I made this comment a long time ago that I just want to get to Christmas break of this first year in the new elementary, and we're close.
And
So,
it seems to have gone well. I mean, there's little, but for the most part,
well, there's just firsts for everything, and let me give you an example, and kudos to Mrs. Austin, because we had a tough day today because we're hitting that cold spell. And when the weather's nice, a lot of parents walk up with their kids, might park a block away, it's okay to walk. Well, when the weather is like it is today, a lot of people want to show up and drop their kid off at the front door so they don't have to wait outside very long. Well, when the door's open and everybody shows up at the same time, it kind of creates a traffic cluster. And so it's trying to get people to realize, well, I may have to come earlier. Maybe I need to park across the street. So there's just, I'm not joking because it's not funny, because it's a lot of hassle. But it's just now phase 2, our first winter with our drop-off lane. So no, it's really, there's an adjustment period.
Oh, yeah, sure is.
In a perfect world, we could all drop off all of our kids
at the same time.
8:03. They could all just walk right in the building. But
That doesn't
it just
work.
doesn't work.
Transported to their desks.
There you
That's
go.
right, I know, but I appreciate everyone's patience in working together to make it as
Good.
smooth as we can.
Yeah, good deal.
So, but otherwise, our next regular meeting will be on Monday, January 9th. We get out for Christmas break on the 21st and come back on the 3rd. Time flies, you're having fun.
Definitely.
Would you like me to schedule a meeting with the city council? We usually do a joint session in the spring.
Sure.
So maybe I can look for a date, and it'd be nice to have that project wrapped up
Right.
and be able to say, hey, this is it. So,
Yeah,
but
that's true.
But I will have a conversation with Chris and kind of get the ball rolling there.
All
And I
right.
will also keep you in the loop with Chris Wheeler
Mhm.
on that too.
Yeah, if we can get something done without involving the attorneys, that'd be good.
Well, that, I don't know if you saw the email chain, but I was like, I don't want to get an attorney either.
No.
For a $12,000 bill, we could spend $12,000 to
We
get
could eat that up-
more.
We could eat that up very quickly.
It doesn't take much.
No.
So, but that's all I have, and thank you, Stacy and Joy,
Oh, yes.
for the snacks.
Yes, and Terry.
Yes, so.
All right.
All right, that's all I have. Choir concert in 10 minutes. Be there, be square.
Move to adjourn.
Oh,
Okay.
all those in favor, please
Did you say it?
indicate by saying aye.
Fine.
Tony's being quiet over here.
Yeah.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank